I want to welcome you back to our teaching in the book of 1 Thessalonians. Today we're back in the 4th chapter, back in verse number 17. My time just completely got away from me yesterday. And so we're going to finish 17 and 18 in chapter 4 today. At least that's my intention. You know what? If you like what we're doing, hit the like button. And then if you want to continue to receive notification, hit the subscribe button. And then share this with your friends. You know, maybe you've got a friend that just lost a loved one. You know what? They need to hear these messages. They need to realize that life continues on for their loved ones. If they're in Jesus, life continues on forever. And so hit the share button and share this with someone. Now, we didn't even get through one verse yesterday. So we're back at the 17th verse, and we're going to finish it, and then we'll go into verse number 18. But reading again the 17th verse, it says, "Then we who are alive and remain will be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air. And so we shall always be with the Lord." In verse number 18 then, "Therefore comfort one another with these words." The end of verse number 17 says, "And so we shall always be with the Lord." You see, verse number 17 is talking about a reunion. It's talking about not a Zoom call type reunion. I just finished yesterday doing a Zoom teaching into South Africa. You know what? That's great and everything, but you know what? This is going to be a face-to-face reunion. A face-to-face reunion with our loved ones. We're going to have glorified bodies. They're going to have glorified bodies. But together, we're going to walk together. And you know who's going to be there? The King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. He's going to be right there with us. What a great reunion that's going to be. But we have this guarantee that forever, we will be with the Lord. You see, what's going to happen? It's going to happen, and it's going to change everything in our lives as believers forever. You know, maybe you're in a situation right now and you're saying, "Man, I don't know what I'm going to do." Maybe it seems like it's hopeless. Well, brothers and sisters, let me say this to you. Point your eyes towards the return, or not the return, but towards the rapture of the church. Towards this catching away. Because you know what? Anything that you're going through, whether it's sickness, whether it's financial problems, whether it's family problems, no matter what you're going through as a believer, it is only temporary. Now, if you're an unbeliever, what you're going through is nothing like what you're going to experience after this happens. But for us believers, you know what? We are going to be with the Lord and with our loved ones who knew Jesus. We're going to be with them forever. You know, many times I think about the pastors that I've run into that are now with the Lord, and how we had great fellowship here on earth. But you know what? There's going to come a day when that fellowship will never end. We will constantly be sitting together at the feet of Jesus, and we'll be experiencing Jesus together like we've never experienced him before. Wow, what a beautiful, beautiful thing. And then the writer of 1 Thessalonians, the Apostle Paul, continues to bring comfort to the people. Now, we need to remember that one of the reasons why Paul is writing this letter to the Thessalonians is because they are experiencing very extreme persecution. And they're seeing their loved ones executed for their faith. Not only for their faith, they could be experiencing sickness and death in other ways, but really primarily the thing that's happening in Thessalonica is the execution of believers. And so Paul is writing them to remind them, guys, this is not the end. There is something that's going to happen. And so in verse number 18, the Apostle Paul says, therefore. Why? Because we have this hope. Therefore, we can then comfort one another with these words. Comfort. With these words. Why did Paul write these words? He wrote these words to comfort the people in Thessalonica. Now, we already know that they've been instructed by the Apostle Paul about the end times. We don't know exactly how that happened. We don't know if Paul left Timothy behind. We know that. But did Timothy then instruct them? Or did Paul instruct them in the 3 weeks that he was with them? We don't know exactly how. But we do know that they've been instructed about the return of Jesus. By the way, let me just say this. When you lead someone to Jesus, it's very important that you instruct them about the hope, that you instruct them about the return of Christ and the rapture of the church. Those two things are very important because that's where our hope is, and that is where our comfort is when things really are looking bad. And so the Apostle Paul is saying, comfort one another. In other words, bring comfort. Go and speak to one another. Go and come alongside them and speak to them these words. The words that the Apostle Paul shared. You see, it's very important that we use these words to bring comfort. You know, have you ever been to a funeral home and people are in line, or maybe you see it online on one of the social media sites and people are saying, I'm so sorry for your loss. I do that. But you know what? We need to comfort each other with these words. The words that the Apostle Paul wrote, and say, you know what? That loved one of yours, that friend of yours, they knew Jesus. And you know what? I got good news for you. There's coming a day when you're going to be in fellowship with them that's never going to end again. You're going to be together with them along with Jesus. You see, that brings comfort. That brings hope. That brings something that we are looking forward to. That's what hope is. So I tell you, as we bring this video to an end, I ask you to do this. Share this with someone who's needing comfort. Share it, because they need the comfort of the words that the Apostle Paul wrote here in 1 Thessalonians 4, verses 17, 18, actually starting with verse 15, 16, 17, 18. Will you do that? God bless you. We're going to talk to you again tomorrow.